Man, okay, we already got a lot of people in here. I guess we can go and start if you guys are ready.
Yeah, I'm ready when you guys are.
That sounded really unsure,
Of course.
man. Just to answer some questions, what are we doing today? We're doing our podcast. Yeah, I guess we should take a second here before we start the show. We have like 600 new subscribers that haven't seen a Last Word episode before. So what we do, guys, every Friday at 6:30 Eastern, almost 6:30 Eastern, we do a live recording of our podcast. So it's very focused on discussion and conversation because those are the things I like. And so we talk about stuff. You talk about your thoughts and opinions. Then we go back, look at your thoughts and opinions, and we have like an actual discussion. And it's a lot of fun. It's called The Last Word. Like I said, we do it live every Friday. We upload it at 5 o'clock Eastern every Monday in case you miss it. But yeah, I'm pretty excited because we have some Bungie to tear into today. I guess I can go ahead and start it though. Yeah, it's 6:28. We were close. That's why I said 6:30-ish. All right, you guys ready?
Let's do it.
Hey guys, Scare9 here. Welcome back to my channel today for episode 23 of the Last Word podcast. Live as always with my co-hosts Icono and Jay-Z.
What's up?
What is happening?
You guys are...
I waited till you were done talking.
That's not how this works.
Waited.
Man, how you guys feeling today? You guys, nothing big happened this week.
Yeah, there's no news, so I mean it's like very chill. You know, very happy. I'm very relaxed. Blood pressure's pretty good.
There's nothing to talk about regarding weapon systems in Destiny 2 and how freaking angry I am right now.
Yeah, nice relaxed show today, guys. Not just kick back. Nothing to talk about.
Yeah, I do want to just make a quick PSA. I have a lot of people asking what happened to the carries on Tuesday. Destiny was down for server maintenance, so Bungie happened. As well as Bungie happened today. They're on a roll this week, aren't they, man? They're just trying to kick us down. So weekly update. First thing to shout out, Guardian Con raised, currently, there's still 2 more days for donating, has raised over $1.2 million for St. Jude's, which is just... freaking fantastic, man.
I donated. I hope everybody else did.
I am not in a position to, or else I would have. Absolutely. Next year I will, for sure. I've already planned on it, and Victoria and I are talking about starting to save up whatever little bit we can to help out. Wait, how much you do? If you don't mind me asking, that could be personal, I guess.
No, it's fine. I did 100.
Oh, nice, dude. Nice. Yeah, next year, like I've told you guys, next year I plan to be a part of it, if at all possible. I need to start talking to Broman and stuff, try to get in contact. But yeah, next year I definitely plan on supporting it too, because I'll be in a much better place next year, hopefully. So yeah, but yeah, a freaking fantastic $1.2 million, and I think that just goes to show there is no video game community like the Destiny game community. We were having the conversation, I think last week, where a lot of other game communities that's very competitive with content creators and stuff, Destiny is everyone working together to literally change the world. And it's freaking fantastic, and it makes me really excited to be part of such a great community. So that's awesome, man. That's awesome. What else is there? The official ESRB rating came out for Destiny 2. Everyone knew it was going to be T for teen, but it was confirmed to be T for teen for violence, blood, and language. So Destiny 1 was T for animated blood and violence. Destiny 2 is for regular blood, so I'm thinking we're going to see some humans die, and language as well, which is weird because, as people pointed out, and I think I did, in Destiny 1, Zavala says like damn and hell, and Shaq says hell a couple of times, and that's not rated for language, so it sounds like they're going to start getting more vulgar, but I don't think they can drop any F-bombs, because I think that automatically makes it an M-rated game.
Yeah, they can't drop an S-bomb either. That would make it mature as well. But I think it's a certain number. Like, I think you can probably get away with 1, but anything more than that, like, I think there's a certain number, like a threshold that they have to hit before they become an M-rated game.
It'd be like a PG, like a PG-13 movie. I think they can say the F word once.
Once, yeah.
Or something like that.
Yeah, I think ESRB kind of uses the same rules as the MPAA. So.
Yeah, man. Okay, well, I mean that's exciting though. I mean, it's T, and we can have a small discussion about this. Are you guys, like, the way I look at it, I see the potential in an M-rated Destiny. I think that would be hella cool. but I'm not losing any sleep over it. And and it also ensures that none of the community is really like shut out from Destiny 2. And we just got done talking about how amazing of a community that is, and people that aren't yet of mature age, like 18 or what is that, 17 for video games. I mean, they're still a part of that, so I'm cool with it being T. But what do you guys feel like?
Well, if it's a T, you get more people to buy it. I mean, as soon as you rate something M, it's just like with rated R movies. That's why big studios don't typically do rated R movies, because that's automatically cutting out part of your audience, assuming that people aren't sneaking in. And if they are, you're still not getting the money. So, it's really all about expanding your audience as best as possible while still making it true to what it is. I wouldn't want to see them make this an E for everyone game, because then we wouldn't even be able to use guns anymore. So, they can't go too far, but it's fine to make it T. I mean, we've been playing it this long on T and we haven't had any problems. So I don't think that, another 3 years on T is going to be a big issue.
Yeah, I think it's fine. Like I mentioned in my video I made on this, it would be kind of cool to see a spin-off or whatever, but that's M rated just to fully realize that. I mean, I think one thing I talked about was, with an M rating, one thing you can do, I think Logan, the movie Logan, did a great job of showing this, is with a heavier rating, you can make the world seem much darker, much easier. And so, like, if we really wanted to be in a position where we were really scared of Gaul or whatever, if it would have been rated M and he was actually, like, doing severe physical harm to people and there were really dark, mature themes, I think it would be much more efficient at that. But Destiny's always been a game about hope and coming back and stuff, so it's not really necessary. But if there was a spin-off where they really made us question the survival of our characters in that spin-off, I think they would be hella cool to make it rated M.
And look at Empire Strikes Back. Empire Strikes Back went super dark, and they're calling this kind of the Empire Strikes Back of Destiny. And, Luke got his hand cut off. I mean, it was pretty deep.
Are they calling it that? I think it's you that's made that reference. I think you just quoted yourself.
You did last week, I believe. If I remember right.
So just because I say something twice doesn't mean that they didn't say it. I'm pretty sure Luke Smith said it at some point. I can't pinpoint the exact interview, but it might have been with IGN. But he did say something about it being a lot darker, and it's akin to Empire Strikes Back. I do remember him saying that. Okay. I'm not making that up.
Okay, I'll believe you, dude. I believe you, man. I haven't heard that interview. I thought it was kind of...
So with that said, well, the point I was trying to make is that Empire Strikes Back didn't go rated R. They were still, PG-13. And, Luke got his hand cut off. I mean, there was a lot of deep stuff that happened in that movie, and it was still maintaining the same rating. So maybe they can get away with the same thing here.
Yeah.
And a decapitation, if I remember right, as well. There's always one in Star Wars.
What? No, it's always someone losing their hand.
I thought there was a decapitation in every Star Wars movie except for the last one, because Disney has it now. I'm pretty sure.
No, it's someone loses their arm in every Disney movie, and in the last one, that's why C-3PO had a red arm as an homage to that. Come on, Jay-Z. No.
Hold on. I'm Googling
Look
this
it
right
up,
now.
dude. Look it up.
Welcome to the Star Wars podcast.
Right. Just while he's doing that, Pyro in chat said make it R so we can see blood. It's rated T for teen because of blood. So I mean, there's gonna be blood in this. I'm not sure about how much. Destiny 2 or Destiny 1 is rated T, and one of the reasons is animated blood. But as I was saying in my video, I don't really think of I can't think of any actual blood that is in Destiny. Like I think the animated blood is just like when you shoot a Cabal's head off and it like does that thing.
Vex Milk? Does Vex Milk count?
Yeah, is Vex Milk animated blood?
I think that would be, dude, because you're killing it, you're blowing it up, and that stuff's coming out of it.
I think Vex Milk would be closer to sexual content,
Is that just because it's white?
Maybe. I'm not. This is a family-friendly podcast, man. I don't know what you're talking about.
All right.
Oh man.
So we're just gonna ignore that podcast that we had 3 weeks ago, where you kind of went ham.
Oh yeah, I'm literally using an ornament on my Red Death right now that has blood on it.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I just completely overlooked that. Okay, thank you Venom X in chat, and it is human blood. Yes, that is, and the original Red Death does. Man,
Doesn't
how
that new Hawkmoon? Doesn't Hawkmoon have
yes,
an ornament as well that makes it bloody?
The carry-on ornaments.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
There you go.
Yeah, I know, Zessia, we know. Okay, so Zessia said the Vex milk is the Vex themselves, not the blood. Yes, technically, you are correct. But do you think an ESRB raider is going to get that far into the lore when they're raiding it?
No, they're going to watch that thing explode and see white stuff come out. They're going to be like, yep, that's blood.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
As far as that's going to go.
Yeah, exactly, man. But... I think the animated blood, I can't see what the difference. Maybe the ESRB's rating system has changed a little bit, but if it hasn't, I'm thinking that animated blood just means that we're going to some humans are gonna die, or excuse me, regular blood means some humans are gonna die, which is exciting, I suppose, if you're into that type of thing. But yeah, it's pretty much... oh, no, it's not. I lied. One more weekly update thing. We got details on the clan merging stuff. So, clans in Destiny 2, you're going to have to physically go in and import your clan into, make it a Destiny 2 clan. Still a cap of 100. You can no longer affiliate different clans. Like, before you could kind of, link two clans and call them part of the same group, sort of. Can't do that anymore, at least initially. There's some more details, but that's pretty much the gist of it. So we're finally starting to get some indication of what's happening with clans in Destiny 2. So yeah, there's that. Anything to say on that one, guys, or is that just pretty much?
That's going to affect people. That's going to be pretty because there's a lot of big clans out there with a lot of affiliates. They're gonna have to figure something out with that. The biggest clan that comes to mind is the Dads of Destiny. They have a ton.
Because they have 4 affiliate clans.
Yeah, they got a ton of people in there.
Turns out there's a lot of dads that play Destiny. Who'd have thought?
Yeah, turns out. Who'd have thought? But with all these, they're saying that there's gonna be perks, for if you're in the clan and your clan happens to complete the raid, everybody gets something for that happening. I would be pissed if I'm in a satellite clan of my main clan and I hear that my main clan unlocked this sweet new swag that I didn't get just because I'm in an affiliate. I didn't get to have that sweet loot. Mm-hmm. That's kind of messed up. So they're gonna have to figure something out with that.
I guess we'll see. I don't know. It kind of makes sense. The 100, if you're gonna cap it at 100, it makes sense to me. But then again, the cap at 100 does not make sense to me. So, real quick, Jason the Master asked in chat, is Locks going to be imported? Of course, man. We're all going to consolidate into one clan. We're going to get all the active players, and we're going to import that right into Destiny 2 because it's super beneficial for everyone. So just real quick before we move on, Jay-Z, you want to tell me I was correct yet?
Yeah, you were. There's three instances of people losing limbs in Empire Strikes Back.
There you go. So what I should have said is not decapitation, but dismemberment. Dismemberment. Yeah, that's close, man. That's close. So now we're gonna move on. We're going to save the rant stuff just to give time people to get in here and stuff, guys. So we're going to go ahead and talk about the raid date speculation. This won't take too long. So Luke Smith went on an interview, and he very clearly said, I cannot tell you when the raid is going to launch, but its launch date will be very similar to that of Wrath of the Machine and King's Fall, both of which came out on the Friday following their respective expansions, exactly 3 days after launch. So, if you look at it, the way I interpreted it is that it could either come out on that Friday or the day or 3 days after Destiny 2 launches if it's going to be quote-unquote similar. So that would either be 2 days after Destiny launches, Friday the 8th, or the Saturday, because Destiny 2 launches on a Wednesday technically, so Saturday, September the 9th. However, that doesn't give you a lot of time to prepare for the raid. So, Icano, what do you think my presumption is correct in that instance? What do you think's going on there?
I'm sorry. You kind of like I was messing with my mic during that. Can you just say that one more time? What was the question?
Yeah, what are your thoughts on the raid stuff? Do you think so? Based on that statement, you know that the release date's going to be similar to Wrath of the Machine and King's Fall. Do you think it is going to come out 2 or 3 days after the game launches?
Gotcha. No. Well, okay. Here's the thing. Here's where Luke Smith's comments are hard to garner anything from that, because he said it's going to be similar to Wrath of the Machine and King's Fall. Here's the difference between Wrath of the Machine and King's Fall. We had full years of time to play the game before those raids came out. So here's the problem. It's like Destiny 2 will come out on the 6th. And one of the theories is that the raid will come out on that Friday. So what? So we're all going to be running around like, you know, like you guys are talking about leveling up to 20 in day one. Sure, fine. You level up to 20 day one. That's fine. So your level might be appropriate to get into the raid. But are you going to have any kind of gear that's even going to possibly compete with the raid? Like, I mean, how many lost sectors and how many strikes can you really run in that amount of time to get quote unquote raid ready? So, and the other thing is, this is a disservice to PC owners, because if this raid comes out on Friday, the 8th or whatever it would be, and the PC version doesn't come out till October 24th, that's a whole almost 2 months away. Like, what are they really going to just completely rob PC players of their world's first experience?
I never had a doubt about that in my mind ever. They're not going to hold off 2 platforms. Keep in mind, the majority of their player base is still going to be on consoles, just for the pure fact that there are 2 consoles and 1 PC, and they're so much cheaper. I don't have any doubt in my mind that without hesitation they would release the raids sooner on consoles.
I don't know. I would think that like whatever that Friday is after the 24th, that is my prediction. I'm thinking that they're going to make it a fair for PC and everybody, and it gives everybody plenty of time to level up. That way, because one of the biggest complaints on Reddit is like, hey, Bungie, can you stop coming out with raids so close to the release? We want to have time to actually play the story and enjoy the game. And if they're really expanding it to like they say they are, where they're adding all this stuff with patrols and lost sectors and doing all this stuff on, you know, just running around and discovering stuff, you're not going to have a whole lot of time to discover anything if that raid is really coming out that quickly. So I'm in the camp that they're going to give people enough time to play the game, enjoy the game, and then grind the game so that they're ready for a raid release, you know, end of October.
All I'm saying is what you just suggested is that by Luke Smith saying that the release date's going to be similar to 2 raids that release exactly 3 days after their expansions, and you took that and you compared it to a month and a half later. Like, that doesn't seem very similar to me, though.
Yeah, I got you. I mean, like I said, it's hard to glean anything from his comments that makes sense in my eyes. I don't see how 3 days later makes sense. I really don't. I mean, there's what I think might happen, and then there's what a lot of people might happen, and I think both of them are equally as ridiculous.
All right, so here's what I think. So we know. Sorry, Jay-Z, I'll let you refute this, but it kind of ties in nicely to this. So what I think is that, you know, they're making the hard mode, they're adding those new mechanics and stuff, and they're making it much more of a deal. You can do matchmaking for normal, but not for hard, which kind of would make, you know, just because of that, it would be smart to make the raid easier on normal. So what I think is that the normal version of the raid is not going to be difficult in any sense. It's going to be very straightforward, so you can launch into it like an extended strike almost, but, you know, obviously more difficult than that. But something you don't have to be extremely over-leveled to do. So they're going to release it on normal mode. It'll be relatively easy for a raid on normal mode. You don't need to be super leveled up to do it. You'll be fine. But it's 2 weeks later or a month later or whatever, whenever it drops on hard mode, is when they add new mechanics. Potentially the challenges. I'm not sure if they're going to be doing that. And they really start to amp up the difficulty. So they want everyone to enjoy the raids. And the best way to do that would be to ease off the difficulty, add matchmaking just for the normal version, and then for the more intense people who really do love that raiding experience, add in a harder raid, maybe with a couple extra encounters, probably not, but just with extra difficulty. And that's what I think they're going to do. That's what I would do if I was them.
That actually sounds good. I like that.
All right, Jason, your turn. Do it.
So I think with Destiny 1, the first raid was a pretty good sweet spot for when they released it a week later after the game launched. Although I didn't play it because I wasn't part of a clan, and I only had like 2 friends that had the game at that point in time, and I didn't know about LFG. I think it was a very good sweet spot because it allowed people a week to grind out their characters. And I mean, it still took them, I think, a couple of days to even finish the raid, even after a week, because they were a little underleveled. But if they make it more mechanics based, then you can beat the raid, without being max level at that point in time, or not max light at that point in time. So yeah, I want them to release it as soon as possible because I'm taking that whole first week off, and I don't want to take any more days to just to do the raid. So that's what I'm hoping is 3 days to a week. I think a week is more of a sweet spot for that. But
I think just when on the Reddit post that was made about my video, which by the way, whoever did that, you're awesome. But so they were talking about it, and I saw a very common theory was that he meant that it would be on the Friday, and that it would be the Friday after the game launched. But if that was the case, I still think it would have been more beneficial to compare it to the Vault of Glass, which did come out a week after the game launched.
Yes.
So I think that would have been smarter. I just think Luke Smith knows what he's saying. He's pissed off people in the past, but whenever he's done like interviews and stuff like this, he may be cryptic, but like everything pans around. Like he knows what he's talking about. He never straight up lies to us. If anything, he's too honest. That's the entire thing that people got pissed off at with the throw money at the screen. He talks like a developer and not like a person who does interviews, which I completely respect and I like that. But at the same time, that means that he knows the details of the game and he's not going to lie to us. So I think by making that comparison, it really is going to be sooner than a week.
I mean, if he's saying it's compared to King's Fall and Wrath, yeah. But they could also have. Oh man, that's gonna be tough though. Leveling up from a level 0 character all the way up to 20 or whatever the limit's gonna be at that point in time.
Yeah. That could be it too. With the more consistent content schedule, they could start us off at a lower level, knowing that we're gonna have a DLC right after that to where they can raise it and maybe even double
they can
it.
They can even 3-tier the raid. Like they could have normal, hard, and then like a legendary type difficulty or something like that.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
So
they could release a couple weeks later the hard mode and then the legendary difficulty when the PC drops or something like that. And then they can put challenge mode on it on top of that. So there's a lot of different things they can do because right now, who says they're going to use the same exact method that they use in raids in Destiny 1? So I'm hoping they give you more replayability with that, especially with the topic we're going to be talking about later.
You just hold on to that thought, sir. Yeah. But Zessie in chat said that he thinks the hard mode would release around Halloween, which is October 30th, correct? So that would give PC players a week to prepare for that as well. Maybe, okay, so there's an idea. Major voice crack, but okay, so here's how that would work. Release the raid 6 days after the launch of Destiny 2, and do that. Then when PC launches, release their raid 6 days after their launch, and at the same time, in the same day, release our hard mode raid, so it stacks up perfectly. Does that make sense? That's a good idea.
Yeah, I mean,
if I was a developer, I'd do that.
But that's a while after the first raid, because normally they release it a month after the normal mode.
That is a good point. That's like a month and a half.
Enough time to get the armor. Yeah.
That's a fair point. Maybe challenge mode. Yeah, I didn't think about that. Stop poking holes in my theories, dude. I liked that.
That's what I'm going for. That's the whole point of having people to argue with, right? Or debate with.
Yeah. But that's pretty much that topic. The next one. So the next one is kind of like 2 topics in one. So this is the rant heavy one. This is where I want everyone in chat to voice their opinion, and I really want to I really want to focus on this. So there's a huge thing in Destiny right now, in Destiny 2, that they specifically took every single weapon in Destiny 2 and they hand built it. And originally we thought that meant only stats. So the way Luke Smith phrased it, in Destiny 1, a lot of these are the same weapon, the same archetype. Each gun was a bit of code. They put it in a randomizer. They got a couple different stats for it. With it, obviously they have a range or whatever. Get a couple different stats, apply those stats to a skin that they already had created, and that was the Palindrome or the Ice Luna or whatever. So just randomly generated onto it, and then they bounced the entirety of hand cannons from there because it was made like that. In Destiny 2, they hand-designed every single weapon so it would be easier to balance. And originally we thought that meant exclusively the stats. However, that is not the case. We found out today from an interview with Luke Smith that there will be no random perks on weapons anymore. There will not be rotating rolls or per se on weapons. If you earn a weapon, it will have that same set of perks every single time you earn it. And there's a lot of people pissed off about that. Obviously, we haven't played the game yet, which we'll get into. But man, I'm hella disappointed. So I'll let Jay-Z go. I want.
So, do we want to start with the good? Like maybe go through the good of this, and then maybe rant.
Okay, yeah. Let's do that.
So I think the good part of this is like you said, each weapon can be tuned per weapon.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why they didn't do that in Destiny 1 or why they couldn't do that in Destiny 1 because that doesn't make any sense to me, but I'm not a developer, so you don't know. But I like that the fact that they can do that rather than nerfing an entire like a whole class of weapons. They just nerf a specific weapon if they need to or buff it or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I do like that concept. That makes me happy, but obviously my rant will encompass the other part of that. So.
Yeah. Also, on the good thing, you don't have to worry about god rolls of weapons anymore, which is something I'm not happy about. I guess if I'm playing devil's advocate, it makes it better for the casual player.
Yeah, but like being a hardcore player,
yep.
That's like that's the whole point of grinding. That's the whole point of getting. Yeah. Okay. Rant section.
All right, rant section.
Let's hear it.
What the hell, Bungie?
Do you want to hear Icano?
No, I don't want to hear Icano. Icano gets to rant every single week, dude.
Okay. Fair enough.
Man. Okay, so the reason I play these types of games is, there's two. There's two main reasons. One is because I love grinding and farming, and I do streams whenever I found out the Saladin's Vigil was like the god thing, I did a stream just farming to get it because that's what I look for in this type of game, is grinding and farming and getting that perfect god roll weapon to use. And I love that. I love that feeling. I love the grind. I love how much it sucks until you finally succeed, and then I love the really awesome feeling that comes from that. So they're taking that away, and I hate that they're taking that away. Two, if there is... I think in Destiny there's approximately 540 weapons. Something like that. And if they all only have one static roll, you'll have all of those weapons in a week. Maybe not a week, but the argument stands. Getting different weapons, adding diversity is awesome. The entire reason they got rid of elemental primary weapons in Year 1 Destiny, or in Year 2 Destiny, elemental primaries, I said that, is because they were limiting the sandbox too much because people were only using guns with elemental stuff. If a weapon now comes in Destiny 2 and it has a garbage perk roll, guess what? They have eliminated that gun from the sandbox. No one is ever going to use it. And essentially what they did is not put an elemental burn on on certain primaries. They just did it for every single class of every single weapon in the game. And they essentially, what they tried to stop with Taken King, they just put it on steroids in Destiny 2. Because now if there's a god weapon, say like if the Palindrome was always a god roll and then the IS Luna was always a garbage roll, no one would ever use the IS Luna, ever. Everyone would always use the Palindrome, but because you can get variable rolls on either one, you have people running around in the Crucible with either an IS Luna or a Palindrome. And so the way that they are limiting themselves here, limiting the sandbox, either makes me think every single weapon in Destiny 2 is going to be absolute garbage, or they are seriously limiting the sandbox, and it's something that they're going to have to come back and face in the future because they're doing this. And it seems like from a perspective out here, it seems like they're trying to save themselves time from balancing the sandbox just by making everything garbage. And so they won't have to balance specific perks, just specific weapons. And yeah, that's where I stand. Anyone want to refute that?
Yeah, well, I don't want to refute it. I can add on to it. So the reason that they have a sandbox team for Destiny is to have balancing in both PvE and PvP. Mm-hmm. And this basically negates a lot of their job other than like minor tweaks and stuff like that. Like if they're creating all the weapons to be set roles, and like you said, like why do I want to use a weapon that's inferior if it drops with the same rolls? Why would I even like try to farm it or even look at buying it?
Exactly.
Yeah, like so you can have one of the crappier like base stat roll weapons, but if you get god roll perks on it, it's worth using in Destiny 1. Mm-hmm. Like there's a lot of weapons that like aren't as good as far as base stats, but I have really good rolls on them that I've used and had fun with. Like because they feel a little bit different, you know, than their counterparts. And
I think a good example of that would be like the Warpath. Like no one would ever use the Warpath except that it came with cluster bombs, and now it's like the go-to rather than machine weapon. That variable.
Cluster bombs, tripod, and you can get Field Scout on it.
Yeah,
like that's amazing. Like
so
the rocket itself is not good. Yeah,
that set of random perks made this weapon viable. It made people want to use it. Now, if you replace that with a garbage roll, say like tracking and just linear velocity, you know, then you're not helping it, you know?
No.
So
no, I mean that does nothing, because I guarantee you there's like 3 other rockets with tracking that have better stats.
Exactly.
And why would you use that over anything else? Like it's to me it's just laziness, and I don't know, like I understand.
Disclaimer, we're not game designers, but from the outside, without them clarifying further, from the outside looking in, this is how it looks.
But why can't they do the same thing that they're doing with individual rolled things? Because they were saying that they had to do the whole archetype in Destiny 1, and then they had to balance it based on the whole archetype. Well, why can't they do what they're doing for Destiny 2, but make it random rolls, and then they can balance it based on that, or they can take perks away from those rolls, because they've taken perks away from weapons before, or changed perks up, or stuff like that. Why can't they do the same thing that they're supposedly doing now that they weren't in Destiny 1, but make it randomized rolls, but make those rolls balanced? Like you can't, like they've been doing it in Destiny 1 when they created new weapons. They made rolls on each weapon so that they weren't like, you couldn't overpower roll them. Like you couldn't get grenades and horseshoes, tripod, and tracking all in one thing. You had to get an exotic rocket, the Gallahorn, for something like that. Like to me, I was when you posted that in our chat last night, I was so mad. Like
I thought it was a joke at first.
Yeah, like, and then I saw an article this morning. I read an article this morning on it, and I'm like, you've got to be freaking kidding me. I've calmed down a little bit since then, and I want to wait to see. it. Like, you know, we're talking a month and a half, 2 months in before we get to see every weapon come up, and I'm trying to have that mindset. But like, it's like literally a week ago I pre-ordered this game, and now like they do this, and I'm almost like, wow, I just gave Bungie all my money, and now it's like, oh, you know, the RPG elements that you enjoy in the game currently, oh, we're just going to go ahead and take those away, and we're just going to, you know.
Yeah, I'm hoping the beta alleviates some of this, but for right now, this isn't looking too good.
Yeah, I'm still a little.
I'm excited for the game. Don't get me wrong. I will still play the absolute shit out of this game. It's just they just took one of my favorite elements that I already thought Destiny 1 underperformed on, and they got rid of it completely. So
we even talked in a previous podcast, like we compared what they could do to Borderlands.
To Borderlands, and, you know, they did the exact opposite, man.
Making even more, like, you know, things customizable, and then they're like, nope. Here's a set perk roll. Have fun.
So Icono, Are you good? What do you think, man?
No, I'm not good.
Did we cover everything, or do you
No.
got additional stuff, man?
Oh, hell no. So, okay. What did I say, like, right when Destiny 2 was officially announced?
That it was going to be the Revenge of the Sith of Destiny.
I don't think I said that at all.
Wait, which movie did you say? Return of the Jedi. There you go.
Welcome back to the Star Wars podcast, everybody.
You did say that, though.
No, I don't know. What I'm trying to get at is, no, what I said when this game was first announced, I said that the reason they're not telling us everything right now is because they're scared, and that they're not going to tell us everything, and they're going to tell us more when we get closer to the game release, because they don't want to lose pre-orders. They want people to actually buy this game. Mm-hmm. And what I've noticed is that the further along that we get, the shittier the announcements get, the worse it gets. It keeps getting bad. It keeps getting worse and worse the closer we get. When's the last time we had a bit of really good news about this game? It's been a while. So I'm standing by that's exactly what they're doing.
They're saving. There had to have been something good.
Nope, there really hasn't. I mean, Lou Smith has basically been going around, doing his interviews and everything, and telling everybody as much as he can, but it's pretty much predominantly been bad news since the beta was announced, and that is fully reinforcing my theory that they have nothing but bad news to tell us about this game that they're not going to tell us until we get closer to release. And that's probably why they're not showing us patrol mode, is because it's not ready yet. This is Destiny 1 all over again.
No, man. Nah, man. I don't think that at all.
Well,
okay. So I think Patrol is ready. I think they don't want to spoil it because they know we're going to have to spend the next year in that Patrol zone until we get another huge one with whatever next September's DLC is. That'll bring another gigantic Patrol mode. I want to see it as badly as you do, but I think back to the Destiny 1 beta and how disappointed everyone was when they were like, it never changes, it's always the same. And I think they're trying to avoid that. I hear what you're saying. I think it's a good point. But I think there are other ways to explain that as well.
Part 2 of my rant.
Go, do it.
I also said weeks and weeks and weeks ago, episodes ago, that I do not want Bungie changing PvE for the sake of PvP.
He did say that.
And the clearest example of that is the new weapon types. 2 primaries and a power. Because it's easier to balance for Crucible, because that way that we won't have shotgun warriors, because everybody's going to be using primaries the whole time, and it just makes it easier for them. Laziness. Let's do 2 primaries and a power. Let's just solve the problem. Well, guess what? You affected that for everybody. That affected it for PvE and everybody. Like, everybody got affected by that change. And that's basically making a change that's going to affect Crucible, but it's also affecting PvE. What is this now? What are they doing now? So what are they doing? They're basically taking away god rolls. They're taking away the best guns in the game. Remember when reforging happened in House of Wolves? Everybody sat in front of the gunsmith.
I hated that. We're going to talk about that. We have a lot of people bringing that up in chat. I'm going to talk about that.
Everybody sat in front of the gunsmith for hours trying to get the perfect, sniper rifle, for trials. So Bungie is trying to eliminate that. They're like, hey, well, we don't want people having god rolls in PvP anymore. So that's exactly what they did. They eliminated that possibility. Well, guess what? You just effectively took away my looter shooter so you can have your Halo game, because that's exactly what they're doing. They're turning this into Halo. They want it to be an accessible PvP game by taking away the looter aspects, and it is royally pissing me off, because now, just like Jay-Z said, Jay-Z hit the nail on the head. It's like, they're basically taking away the RPG that this game is. The thing that made this game unique, the thing that made this game unlike any other game on the market, is that it's an MMO, it's a shooter, and it's an RPG. and you're taking away the RPG from us. You're taking away the looter part of this game. It's still a shooter, but you're taking away the looter part. And that's why a lot of people play this game. And I don't know, it's really honestly kind of disheartening to hear that they're so willing to completely gut a PvE experience to sake a PvP experience. And I might feel like especially strong about this because I'm not a PvP guy. You know, if I played PvP and PvE, I might have a little bit less of a dog in this fight. But I feel like I am personally being drastically affected by this change. And because here's a good example. Here's a good question. What is this change doing for me? As purely a PvE player, somebody that never touches Crucible, how is this a positive change for me?
I don't think this is a positive for anyone who plays Crucible either, though.
Well, it's good for Crucible because if there's a broken-ass shotgun that comes out, let's say there's a shotgun that's like the 1887s from Modern Warfare, all right? Let's say it's that bad, that you can, like, no-scope people from, like, across the map with this shotgun. It's just super broken. Well, it's easy. If every one of these things is exactly the same thing in the entire Crucible landscape, and also they don't have to nerf entire archetypes. They can specifically nerf that one shotgun.
But that's why I think it's going to be a bad thing, because I think what they were trying to do was eliminate metas. But from my perspective, it's just going to be everyone's going to be getting one specific weapon, and now they don't even have to worry about the rolls. And so we're going to have a bunch of miniature metas in Destiny 2 if they're quick about fixing stuff. So even if they can go in and hit individual weapons, so say like people wake up and they're like, oh, the palindrome is now the god roll. So everyone just goes out and gets a palindrome, and they don't even have to worry about it because everyone can get the same roll of palindrome. And then next week they fix it. They're like, oh, too many people are using the palindrome. Nerf the hell out of it. And then it's like, oh, look, now this devil is the god. So everyone goes out and gets that. It's like, I don't see this benefiting any aspect of Destiny at all. Except for the casual players who don't want to spend time farming these things, and they just want to get the gun and move on. And I think
that was going to be part 3 of my rant, is that they're turning this game into the most accessible possible game that they can. Because they even said that. They said, you're going to know exactly where you need to go. We're going to point on the map for you.
That's what doesn't make sense to me. And I guess we can probably make this next week's topic, but I don't understand how they could add the PC, which is the most driven console for gamers to play on, and it's going to be the people who go for every god roll and stuff, and at the same time they're making the game so much more casual. So they're adding a huge competitive aspect, but they're making it so casual, and it's like the biggest oxymoron I've ever seen in my life, and it does not make any sense.
Yeah, what MMO in the world is casual? Show me a casual MMO. It doesn't exist.
Destiny 2.
And there you go. And
yes!
And the bottom line is that what this is making me feel like, it's making me feel like Bungie is ashamed of their own game. It's almost like they made Destiny, and they're like, and that's their baby, and they're like so ashamed of their baby. It's like they had a boy, and they're really pissed that they had a boy, so they're trying really hard to have a girl right now.
They're just trying to put bows in its hair. They're like, please.
Because they really wanted a girl, and somehow they had that boy that they're so ashamed of. It's just, I've just never been so convinced that they hate Destiny 1. That they hate it. They love what it's become. They love the community that it is. They love what the possibility. They love the idea of Destiny 1, but they sure as shit don't love Destiny 1. Mm-hmm. And they're doing their best to gut it and turn it into something else. And it's just so frustrating because everything that Destiny 1 is everything that I love about it. The gaming. It's keeping me back. It's giving me a reason to turn the game on every week. They're taking that stuff away. And I can't see. I mean, you actually made a good argument. I was going to say that this is a positive for Crucible players, but you might be right. This might even be bad for Crucible players,
too. I think they wanted it to be a positive for Crucible, but I don't think any of them are good enough at Crucible to really see what this did. Yeah. Or I could be completely overlooking it, and they didn't. They more thought this from a PvE standpoint, so you don't get garbage guns anymore in PvE or whatever. Because, there's... No one uses, there's so many guns I could pick for that. No one uses, the Streamophile or Dick Dragon or the Clever Dragon. You know, there's a set of weapons that no one uses in PvE, and maybe they're like, let's just make every gun good at PvE. But at the same time, if you give me a bag of rocks in PvE, I'm going to be able to do something with it, you know?
Right.
So,
no, he even said that they're gonna like the gun that he spoke on specifically. He said was a PvP weapon and not a PvE
from Crucible.
weapon.
Yeah, it was a Crucible
Yeah.
hand cannon. Yeah, Better Devils or whatever I think it was called.
Yeah, but we haven't even touched on what he said at the end of the article. Is that they think that they might have something in place if you keep getting the same gun over and over again, but they can't. They haven't figured out completely yet, and it won't be available for the release of the game. When they do figure it out.
So I wanted to talk about that. So there are two saving graces to this system. One is going to be whatever the hell a weapon mod is. We don't know yet. We know there's a weapon mod slot. We don't know how drastically. I was thinking it wasn't going to drastically change your gun because that would be overpowered. But now that we know that every single gun has a consistent static roll, it sure as shit better do something huge, you know? These weapon mods better be gun changing. I better want to have 3 Better Devils. That was weird because of the name of the weapon. But I want to be able to strive to have 3 Better Devils so I can put 3 different weapon mods on each one so I can have essentially a different performing weapon. That's what I want. And I feel like he didn't sound too confident in that system. Now, I also don't think that what he was talking about with his, they have an idea, I don't believe that was weapon mods because that wouldn't be yet implemented in the game. Like, they wouldn't be talking to that, and that was, like, in our version that we were playing with. I could be wrong. And then at the same time, you know, whatever that turns out to be, and a lot of people on Reddit they were saying, like, oh, it's probably just going to be different weapon skins and stuff. I honestly...
Which it could be.
That wouldn't be enough to keep me coming back to try to get this gun 3 times, though. I want functionality, you know? I don't care about... I mean, aesthetics matter a lot, but not enough to make me strive to earn something 90% of the time. I mean, if it was something like... So if it's something that shows your... For instance, in Black Ops 3, if you master every weapon, you get dark matter camo. If it's something that shows off your... How much time you put into it and you really go for it, then I want it. But with the way Destiny is really seeming to cater towards casual people, I highly, highly, highly doubt there's anything like that in the game at this point.
Here's another thing. Here's another point. I literally just thought of this while you were just talking about it. Luke Smith said at the end of that interview that they don't even have a plan for what to do with all of your dupes, right?
Dupes?
They don't even know what we're supposed to do with them yet.
What's a dupe?
A dupe, like your duplicates.
Sorry.
Yeah, he said they would announce it on a later date, but they have things in the works, is what he said. Something like that.
Well, here's the thing. This is kind of like a big deal, right? This is kind of like, I don't know, changing the entire freaking game. So you would think that they would have had... Like, did anybody during the portion of making this change, did anybody raise their hand in the back of the conference room and say, but what are they going to do with their duplicates? Didn't anybody ask that question? Like, so that's another thing that's kind of pissing me off. It's making me feel like this is like a haphazardly made change to the point where they don't even have a contingency plan for what to do with our duplicates.
Well, that's right. Because he specifically said, what about my 2nd, 3rd, or 10th Better Devils? What are we going to do to differentiate that? And that's when he said, we have ideas in the works, but nothing worked out yet. And I usually don't agree with you on this in terms of Bungie not being able to complete content and stuff. But, I mean, we are awfully close to the beta and the actual game for them not to have a system figured out.
I think he even said that wouldn't be available on release, and
that's why
later after.
That's why he said, I'm not going to share any of these ideas with you because I can't confirm that it will be available by September 6th. That's what he said. So, you know.
That's disheartening. I'm sorry.
I want to wait to see, because I've always given Bungie the benefit of the doubt, maybe a little too much, but this is the first thing that they've done that has actually like really made me like upset and like,
Yeah.
are you freaking kidding me? Like that's the one thing that keeps me coming back. It's the one thing why I grind out patrols and to get legendary engrams to see if I can get a little bit better roll, because that's fun to me. I enjoy that aspect of it, and just freaking Bungie. Come on.
Yeah. You want to jump into community feedback? We got a lot.
Oh yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
All right. So I took 2 for my video today, and then I have a bunch of people in chat too. So first off, Blue Jay Universe say, doesn't the fact that that the weapon has a random roll each time put it in the legendary category? Does this make legendary weapons exotic? What's the point of using a Hawk Moon when the vendor rolled legendary hand cannon is equipped with great perks and always will have those perks? Bungie, you played yourself. So I get where he's coming from here, you know? If you know a weapon is always going to be better than said exotic, why would you ever not use the legendary, you know? It's like using an exotic Fatebringer over the legendary Fatebringer, even though pretty much in 90% of situations, the legendary version is going to outclass the exotic simply because it doesn't take up your exotic slot. So I get what he's saying. My response to that in the comment section was, you know, they better come at us with some hella awesome exotic perks that make them stand out. Something like the Gallowhorn's exotic. You know, we can't have any more Fabian strategy perks where it doesn't make it exotic. Every exotic in Destiny 2, at this point, because of this right here, better be exotic. It better
Agreed.
feel exotic.
Well, that's,
yeah.
The year 1 exotics felt 90% of them felt exotic. They had different perks, different things that made them stand out from your legendary counterparts. And then you know, you get your vault weapons that were almost up to the level of exotics. Sometimes like Fatebringer and Vision maybe being on level with them because of the burns and stuff.
Yeah.
But like the exotics separated themselves, and year 2 and year 3 the exotics weren't as. And then they nerfed a lot of them, you know, like Last Word. I mean, that needed nerf, but like hand cannons in general. So that hurt the Hawk Moon. It made it one of the like a mid-tier hand cannon for the longest time because you couldn't. Your first bullet wasn't always accurate to where you were aiming. And then they nerfed the Truth, which it was truly an exotic rocket launcher.
And now it only has one. Yeah, I haven't
seen a Truth in a year.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Nobody's used it. Like that was the Crucible rocket launcher to use.
Yeah. And
so I mean,
yeah, I mean, and to that point, we see what happens when Bungie has the power to nerf one gun over an archetype, and that shit does happen. Clever Dragon, the same thing. They nerfed. That was more high caliber, or excuse me, that was more high rate of fire pulse rifles. But any day, I will go in and I will use the Blind Perdition, which is in the same category. No, it's not. I will use the PDX, which is in the same category.
Hawksaw.
No, it's not.
PDX and Hawksaw are in that one. Yeah, they are. I think.
No. Clever.
Oh, the Grasp. Sorry, excuse me. I will use the Grasp
and
lock. I will still use that, but because they hit the Clever Dragon with the what is it? The casket or the braced frame nerf, where it drops your magazine down to like 15.
Well, they lowered all magazine sizes on pulse rifles too because of the Clever Dragon.
Because of it, yeah. But yeah. I'm saying, like, I will still use a Grasp Malak, but they kind of destroyed the Clever Dragon. Like, I want Bungie to be able to do specific weapons, but I don't want them to take these specific weapons and take them from God tier to absolute garbage. I want them to balance them. I don't want them to destroy them.
Well, you just hit the nail on the head. That's the definition of balance, is that you're finding a balance between it and the other items that are available to it. You're not balancing anything if you're basically saying, don't use this.
I think a good example of this is when they balanced the Gallowhorn. They brought the Wolfpack rounds to like half damage of a rocket instead of a full damage of a rocket. And so now people use the Sleeper or the Swords or other things. You know, there's contenders for that slot, whereas in year 1 there absolutely wasn't. But, I mean, I think Jay-Z got it spot on when he said the Truth. The Truth, literally every single game of Trials, all 6 people would be rocking Truth 9 out of 10 games. I am a huge fan of Trials with friends, and I'm very competitive, and I go out and do this stuff. And I haven't touched the Trial. I believe they nerfed that with the Rise of Iron, but it could have been the Age of Triumph. I don't really remember. But ever since...
Rise. Yeah.
Was it? Okay, so with Rise of Iron... and I haven't used it since they made that change. Just because one rocket in the magazine, that's not balanced. Like they destroyed the weapon. That's not a good change at all. And I take like machine guns into trials now, which is something I used to laugh at people for doing. And I'm doing it because they destroyed the best rocket launcher. And they need to balance, not destroy and replace.
Well, that's the other issue with balancing is, like, if you make things more powerful or bring other things up to that level, then you're like, so when you nerf things, it makes it, I think it's better to nerf things rather than to bring other things up to the level.
I think there's a nice balance. Because if you only ever do one of them, either your time to kill is going to end up being way too high, or you're going to get killed in 0.5 seconds. Like, there needs to be waves. Like, for this update, you should say, oh, for this one, we're going to nerf stuff. But for the next one, to counteract that, because if you just nerf, it might not seem like a huge deal, but over time, those nerfs will add up. So I think you need to go up, down, and try to find the consistent...
They have the tendency to way overcompensate on
exactly,
nerfs, and that's the problem. Is they don't do it a little at a time. They just blow up the gun, and then they're like, "Oh, so this is unusable," like you were saying. And I think you touched on that very well, where they make guns unusable. And like, why would I? Like, I have the Clever Dragon, I enjoy using it, but I can only get one kill before having to reload. So that my 6v6 Crucible matches, that takes that right out of,
exactly,
tension.
Man. Right there. And I'm hoping with this new balancing system, they're able to do smaller nerfs. I would rather them under nerf something than like screw it,
Yeah.
Like, I would rather deal with a couple weeks of a slightly less powerful something than have like a rock in my hand rather than a gun. So
yeah, and then they did high caliber rounds at the same time that they did the magazine.
Yeah, exactly,
size,
and that's another thing that they do. Instead of nerfing one thing at a time, they were like Clever Dragon. They're like, all right, get rid of the magazine size, screw high caliber rounds. They hit the fire rate a little bit too. They just like they just knocked it down.
Slower pulse rifles fire rate. So
yeah. Well, no, they also, I think it was like 18% or something, 18% slower.
Oh, did they really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So they knocked the lower up and the upper down, but they literally, like, the three things that made the Clever Dragon good, they could have nerfed any one of them and it would have been balanced. Instead, they were like, Sledgehammer, just nerf all of them. I don't care. Blanket nerfs. And there were other weapons affected in the archetype because of that. And bad move, Bungie. Bad move. I mean, once again, I don't envy their balancing team, but when you're striving to have one of the biggest games in the world, when you are striving to open up to audiences, you have to really be able to have quick turnaround times. And like, if you add it, it's the same thing. If they add a bit of content, whenever they do the April update, they add all this content, but it literally breaks everything else in the game, that's not acceptable. It's the same thing for them. Buffing and nerfing. They can add these little aspects to the game, but it cannot break everything else. I just
completely agreed.
Okay, we should move on to the next.
That was literally one question.
Yeah, that was one question. All right, Venom X. He says, I mean, there are advantages to both sides. Not grinding, and then he did a bunch of numbers. I think that's like 12 million. I'm not going to count because he didn't use commas. So not grinding 12 million hours for a god roll IS Luna, but now there's going to be a crap load of people grinding so many hours for one weapon. And then everyone will only be using that one weapon in Crucible, which is not great.
Correct.
The satisfaction after getting that god roll weapon you wanted so much after grinding a ton of hours for it will be gone. And I mean, that's perfect. Beautifully summed up. I would have used more round numbers than if you guys could see, it's like literally like 122 million. He went very in depth with the amount of hours. He seems to have a personal vendetta against farming for things. But
I don't think the game's been out that long.
Yeah.
22 million hours.
But I definitely agree with that. Like, there's a balance. I think, you know what? We're talking about how Bungie over nerfs things. Right here, man. Their system could use a little bit of tuning, and they're like, nah, screw it. Get rid of farming altogether. It's exactly, they just did what they do to weapons on an entire scale of like half the game.
Can they still call it a looter shooter now? Because it's more like a shooter with a little bit of loot.
That goes into Jason Tyler's comment. He said, I love the grind, but now if they all have the same role, we better have a lot of guns to grind for. So I think the one redeeming quality is if they have 4 times as many guns in Destiny 2 as they do in Destiny 1, it'll be okay. It'll even out because guns in the same archetype will still feel relatively similar. So they'll have different skins and stuff. They'll have different names. But if there's just like... we also know that there's going to be 6 archetypes for like hand cannons. Aside for every class of weapon, there are 6 archetypes. So I think if they're planning on making just infinitely more weapons in Destiny 2, this change could be okay. And it could be the saving grace could be so many different archetypes having so many different weapons, and the different weapons, some of them feeling like the same guns with different perks.
So I would say 4 times is a little too conservative on that, honestly. I would say
really?
6 to 10 times.
I'm going with development time, and I'm going Destiny 2 or 4 times what we currently have right now, not in vanilla Destiny.
So development time on set role perks. Like,
they have to take more time to. I mean, with this,
to balance out the perks, yeah.
Yeah, they had to go and look, and they had to be like, all right, on this hand cannon, it has a low fire rate, so let's go ahead and put these perks on it. I mean, that takes more time than just randomly throwing stats on a weapon and randomly throwing perks on it.
But they don't randomly throw it because they have to figure out what perks that they can put in each slot, because they can't have overpowered perks.
But still, that's slots. like 20 possibilities versus like, I mean, I see where this could be time consuming on their part, but I think it'll save them time in the end having to go back and tweak everything. So who knows, man? Who knows? There's a lot of things with this. Let's see. Let's keep going through here, man. Zessia says, I feel like Bungie will keep the grind going by keeping ornaments locked on a certain weapon until you get the weapon X amount of times. I can see that idea. So like what he's saying, like if I got the Ias Luna 10 times, then I unlock like a blue skin for it. I mean that
doesn't really excite me that much, though.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like I said before, I don't think weapon skins are enough of an incentive. I really would prefer functionality over aesthetics.
Any day.
You've been kind of quiet. What do you feel like on that one?
I agree. I mean, look at what I did last year, or was it? No, yeah, because it was this past year where I spent like the whole year farming for an Imago loop. Just to get the Fatebringer roll, and I didn't even get it. By the time I was like getting to the point where I was like playing enough every week to where I was going to get enough skeleton keys to actually do this thing right. By the time I got to that point, they announced the Fatebringer was coming back. So I was like, all right, well, guess I don't have to farm this anymore.
Yeah.
So I never got my Imago loot. But you know what? I still had fun, and I still played this game every week. I soloed the Nightfall every week so that I could get a skeleton key just for Imago loot, just for the chance of the Fatebringer roll. And I felt like I was having fun doing that. And so
that's what I love. I love that grind. I would gladly sit at a boss for 4 or 5 or 6 hours to get a perfect roll, to get a really... Oh, that's another thing. If there aren't as many guns, but they make them hella rare. So every boss has a specific exotic that it drops, but you have to grind for it. Like in Borderlands, I would be fine with that. Because that adds farming into the game. And static rolls kind of suck, but if you have to work for it, I will still get that satisfaction of farming and grinding for a weapon, and I will be fine with it.
Yeah.
Didn't mean to cut you off, but...
No, that's fine. I mean, after all that grinding that I did for a year, it's not like I would, like, not get it that week, and I would just throw up my hands and say, screw this game. No, I would just say, you know what, I'll be back next Tuesday. And I was let's keep doing it. Let's keep doing it. And I was... I found a system that worked for me, and it was fun, and I tried. Now what they're saying is, Well, you're gonna get that one gun that you want, and then
You'll never have to farm again.
And then when you get like your next 20 of them, yeah, we don't have a plan for that. So just hold on to them, keep them in your vault that we don't even know if it exists yet. Go ahead and keep them in your vault, but we're not sure what you're gonna be able to do with them. So so what's gonna happen is that people are gonna start hoarding again. People are gonna hoard all this stuff in their vault, and then we're gonna find out randomly in December. Oh, by the way, we found out what we're gonna do with all your duplicates. You're gonna get a special emote for if you have 20 of the same gun. You get a thumbs up emote or something.
Or it'll flip your gun.
It'll flip. Yeah, whenever you blow up the gun, you have a different like reload animation or something.
Yeah. And then that's where people are just gonna start like throwing their Xboxes through windows.
So one thing that would be cool, I don't know if you guys remember in Borderlands 2, as you got kills with weapons, you unlocked, I don't remember what they were called exactly. Proficiencies.
Badass rank.
No. That's Borderlands 2. Borderlands 1 was proficiencies. So so as you got kills with sniper rifles, you did more damage with snipers. I think it was only damage. But you did, or no, they were more accurate.
I think it was accuracy.
It was all accuracy, yeah.
It was a whole list of things.
Okay then. So if they do something like that, where if you get a bunch of IS Lunas, you can dismantle an IS Luna, and it makes it adds like slightly quicker reload speed to yours or something. So you have to get like 10 IS Lunas. You dismantle them, and it makes the one that you already have. It makes it have like a second faster reload. I guess that's real. A second's huge. So let's say like a half a second faster reload. I think that would be all right. That's not too bad. But I would still prefer variable stuff. But once again, we spent 10 minutes on one question, so we should probably move on.
Well, let me just add something else that just like again,
literally. Go ahead.
I'm glad I didn't do any preparation for this podcast because everything's coming at the top of my head right now.
That's what I like, man.
So we don't know what weapon mods are, right?
Nope.
What if weapon mods are a way to customize your weapons and get your rolls? What if weapon mods add things like Firefly and Luck in the Chamber and things like that, and that grinding for the gun isn't a thing, but then you're grinding for the mod, and then
that's a good point.
And then
maybe, but I think he would have said something on it. You know?
Like super rare. Well, I think they want to release some good news eventually because I think he knows that this is gonna take a lot of people off what he said about them having set rolls on them. But that'd be awesome. Like say Firefly or Luck in the Chamber are rare mods, so like they don't drop as much as say as like Flared Magwell or something stupid like that. Like that'd be awesome if they had a whole set of perk rolls that you could get as mods, and then some of them are more rare, just like
I'd be fine with that.
Drops.
I'd be fine with that.
I would enjoy that because then you could put any slot you want, so then you could eventually customize the gun the way, but then you'd have overpowered guns again. That's the only problem.
Well, I think the weapon mod would only be a single thing. I think it would just be like a little attachment.
There's that screenshot that got leaked, and it only looked like it was taking up one. It was like one. You could only choose one mod for that gun that they showed.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I'm thinking maybe So maybe things that aren't super overpowered. So maybe nothing that increases the damage like Luck in the Chamber, but things like Outlaw, which increases your reload speed. Things like Firefly, which would be really good in PvE. Things to add more, because they really said they've been really hitting the head in Destiny 1, and they've been really wanting you to focus on, what type of player are you. And so if they added these kind of like I don't know what I would call them. But if it's like your profession, if you're a more laid back guy or whatever, then you could have one that makes your magazine a little bit bigger. Or if you're more of a PvE guy, then you could have Firefly, which would be better for your aspect of Destiny. Things to customize it based on what type of player you are, but without giving you a huge advantage, but more of like a quality of life thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Honestly, cool. I think I just solved their whole problem.
Maybe.
So if that's not what they're doing, hey, Luke Smith. Do that.
No, I'd be totally okay.
Dude, if you get a job at Bungie, you better pimp the hell out of my YouTube channel.
I'm completely okay with that as long as it, especially if they have like more rare ones and stuff. It'd be cool to to go after
And
those.
in all honesty, I like crafting more than I like grinding.
Yeah.
I would much rather like get my like let's just say I get a gun that I really love, like a hand cannon. I'm a hand cannon guy. So let's say I get this really sweet hand cannon that's got really good, base perks on it that I know everybody has. But then I know that there's a weapon mod slot, and I can put whatever I want on it, and I love Outlaw for hand cannons. So naturally, I'm going to go look for the weapon mod that gives Outlaw, and I know that it can only drop from, this one lost sector because Reddit told me so. Then I'm going to go to that lost sector that Reddit told me to go to, and there's my grinding. And then I'm going to go, and then I'm going to customize. But in the process of doing that, I also start unlocking other weapon mods like Firefly, and I unlock, laser sights and things like that. Cool stuff. I'm going to put it on in the meantime. But at least I have a nice gun I can use that doesn't suck off the bat, but I can always make it better. That to me is actually a pretty sweet system. If that's what they're doing, which I hope to God they are now, and that makes me a little bit less pissed, then that's actually pretty cool. That makes me a little bit more hopeful for the change.
Yeah. Okay, and then I think the last one that I'm really seeing here is Zesia saying that they should just bring back re-rolling. I actually hate that idea. I didn't like re-rolling because that takes the grind out of it and it makes it more it makes it less fun RNG. I didn't like re-rolling. I want to go out and work for my weapons. It was good for casual people.
I did for an extent, but then once I had all the god roll weapons, there's no point in me.
I don't think I ever re-rolled anything.
Oh, I rolled everything.
I did, and there was a time where I seriously had an epiphany one day after I had been sitting in front of the gunsmith for a half an hour. I was like, did I really just sit in front of the gunsmith for a half an hour? Is that how I just spent my time playing this game? That I was just standing in front of the gunsmith holding X for half an hour? You're not playing a game at that point. You're you're fulfilling a really sick and twisted addiction at that point, and that's not good. That's unhealthy. That's tantamount to doing meth, So yeah, I don't know. I just once I knew that re-rolling was a thing, I was super excited. But then I had this epiphany one day that I was like, this is really unhealthy for me, and I don't want to do this anymore. Yeah. And then I started to hate it.
Oh man. Geez, so that's pretty much all of the community feedback. I agree with that. I'm just not a fan of the whole concept. I want to go out and work. I get the idea of casual. I think next week we should really focus on a casual versus is Destiny 2 too casual? I think that's what we should do. Versus, because we're all three hardcore players. Okay. I'm very much would like to stay a hardcore player, but I feel like if they make it so the content's done in 5 hours, then you can't be. But we'll talk about that next week.
I'll tell you what, I'll have an opinion on that because, I've got a baby on the way, and I think I'm being forced to become a more casual player. I don't think I'm going to be able to put in all the hours that I've been able to do in the past. Mm-hmm. So I'm kind of becoming a casual player not by choice. So I'm going to have opinions on things. So if we bring up something that we want to talk about next week that I might normally on any other day say, no, that sucks because I'm a hardcore player, I might be more akin to saying, you know what, this might be good. So at least we'll have at least a half of a casual player on the show next week.
So do you know what all these announcements so far have helped?
Casual players.
No. Gearbox, if they ever want to announce Borderlands 3.
Borderlands 3? No, man. Yeah. Borderlands 3, it's never happening. It is.
I don't think that's true. But if they wanted to announce,
I mean, it is going to happen. But by the time it releases, Borderlands. Okay, so the stupidest thing that Gearbox has done is they rode off the success of Borderlands 2, and what do? They open the very freaking first thing they do is they release Battleborn instead of capitalizing on Borderlands 3 success.
Yeah.
That allowed games like The Division and Destiny come through, steal all of the audience. That's how you ruin a business.
Well, then they wanted that to become its own franchise, just like Borderlands.
And guess what? It crashed.
No, it did. But what?
Overwatch.
What's the game? Overwatch, yeah, had something to do with that.
Had everything to do with that. But, I mean, you're good at something. Why not stick to it? And then
Yes.
and then what they do, instead of really focus on everything, Gearbox is now focusing on republishing things. So they're re-releasing games that didn't do well on their own, like Bulletstorm, Fortnite. All these games that no one cares about. The reason they didn't do well is because they're not good concepts for games. And Gearbox is now putting their name, putting their money. Producers, I think it's on the first 1 million units sold, or the first $1 million that those game makes. Gearbox doesn't take a penny of. It's everything after that. They take like some percentage of it. But it's for the first however many units sold, Gearbox doesn't even make any profit on it. So if it's a bad game that no one liked the concept on in the first place, like Bulletstorm, guess what? Gearbox just wasted all their time and money and resources and efforts on something they're not even making money on, instead of focusing on Borderlands 3. Like, what the hell are they doing? Borderlands 2, someone tell me if I'm wrong. It came out, what, 2012, right? 2011?
2012.
Yeah.
End of 2012.
The end of 2012. So it has been 5 years. It has been 5 years to make a Borderlands-esque game, which, don't get me wrong, it takes a lot of effort, but it does not take 5 years worth of effort. You know,
There's only 3 years in between 1 and 2.
And yeah, exactly. And they already have some of the assets for 2. And with the size of Tiny Tina's DLC and how they were able to turn that around, not even, well, it was like a year after, maybe a year and a half after Borderlands 2 came out, I'm fully confident that they could have made 2 sequels by now.
It was less than a year, but the first 2 DLCs were not produced by Gearbox though.
I did not know that. But
yeah,
still,
Torg and
Hammer.
All
Hammerlock.
3 of those actually weren't. Yeah, the first 3 weren't produced by Gearbox. Tiny Tina was the first one, so they were working on Tiny Tina since after they had
freaking good DLC,
the game.
Man. But
yeah, it was the best one.
I'm just saying. Oh, and then they released the pre-sequel. Let's talk about the pre-sequel. All right, that was not. There was no effort put into that development-wise. That wasn't Gearbox, anyways. That was 2K Australia. And it was so bad that 2K Australia got shut down. All right, so
I didn't think it was terrible, but it should have been a DLC.
It was
that's what it originally was.
It was not Borderlands quality.
No, it was slated
and that's
for
the
DLC.
thing. So, am I excited for Destiny 2? Yes. And the reason I'm excited for Destiny 2 is because it's this type of game. Have I lost pretty much all faith in Borderlands 3? Yeah. Will I still cover every inch of it? Of course I will, because I love Borderlands, but it's just, when people, we're sitting here, we're bagging on, Bungie this entire thing, but I think Gearbox has made 17 million times as many bad decisions as Bungie has at this point. And I don't know who is in charge of what game they work on next, but that guy needs to be fired, because he has lost the company, had to have been millions at this point, because Battleborn flopped, Bulletstorm flopped, and Fortnite is gonna flop. And that's how I feel about that. Oh, and pre-sequel flopped. Huh. Just want my Borderlands 3, man. Okay, we good? Is that enough? Is 2 Scaro rants enough for one video?
Yes, that's enough.
Oh, man. Oh, Zesty just says that he doesn't like the character of Tiny Tina because her voice is annoying. Tiny Tina is probably my favorite Borderlands
She's
character.
Hilarious, though.
She is awesome.
Tiny Tina
so
is my second
sarcastic.
favorite. She is my second favorite video game character of all time.
Of all time. Who's your first?
Vivi from Final Fantasy IX.
I've never... No idea.
Really?
This dude is destroying Gearbox. Wow, that's because I'm very passionate about what I do. And Borderlands got me into this entire genre.
Looter shooters, yeah.
And it sucks. And not only did it get me into this, Borderlands created the looter shooter, and it really sucks to see someone take. It's like if you handed me $1 million and I set it on fire. It's very, anyone watching that is going to get extremely uncomfortable for a freaking good reason, because it's stupid, like. Oh.
Yeah, you could have donated it to charity. You could have done a million different things with it.
A million different things with $1 million.
Literally anything else.
Literally anything else except what he did. He lit it on fire and he got a credit card and they drove themselves into debt.
Yeah.
That's the equivalent of what they did, man.
So sad. But it's true.
Yeah, I wouldn't even look at Destiny if it wasn't for Borderlands, honestly.
Exactly, man. Exactly. Yeah. That's why I was like, me and my friends used to play, me and Wolfen, he hasn't been on the podcast, but we've played with him. We played Borderlands all the time. And one summer, we were like, this game looks like Borderlands. Let's play because Gearbox doesn't do shit. And then, yeah, man. Okay.
Venom's like too much rant. Too much.
I'm just
abort.
No, this was a whole ranting podcast, so it's all good.
It's literally in the title. It's in the title,
yes.
so everybody knew when they came in.
I need to go change my shirt because I'm pretty sweaty right now. So. Oh, Killtastic, I forgot. Killtastic has an idea about us getting light from the Traveler Shard. We'll include this in here. So there's the Traveler Shard in the European Dead Zone that is corrupting the land around it. And my theory was that that is going to be the source of our raid because the raid shots show us very clearly in that area. But he thinks we're going to get our light back from it. And I'm thinking that's probably a pretty good possibility as well because it is a piece of the Traveler.
Yeah.
So maybe we go there, we get light from it, but it also corrupts the environment, and Gaul goes there to get light from it because he's like, oh, hell. After we beat him up, we just punch him in the face, and he's like, okay, that failed. Let's just go to this where they got their powers from, you know? That's the natural progression.
That actually makes a lot of sense. I like
that. And then, I like that idea, Killtastic. Sorry I keep forgetting it.
Well, they keep showing it, and if you remember... well, not if you remember it. You'd have had to have seen it. But Luke Smith was doing an interview.
Yeah, with PlayStation. And no, it was Deej was doing it with PlayStation.
It was Deej where they asked like, isn't that a shard of the Traveler out by the camp or whatever the town the new town that we have? And then Deej kind of like hesitated, and it was almost like he was like, is this guy supposed to know about that? Like,
yeah,
it felt like he didn't want to talk about it at first. So,
but then he did.
That shard is not just eye candy. That looks like it's going to be like a major part of the story, and that would make sense because if that's the first place that we go explore after the tower is destroyed, it would make sense that would be where we get our light from. Because I guarantee you, we're not going out to Nessus without having our supers. So that we're not going that far. It's going to happen on Earth. Whatever happens.
Yeah, absolutely.
You got to get it back pretty quick.
And
if they want you playing with them.
And if it's part of the Traveler, like it'll have like symbolic significance and stuff. Like you're right, Killtastic. We're gonna I would put money on it at this point. That's where we get our light from. And based on, I did a whole video on it, showing the screenshots and showing the evidence. We run right under it in the screenshots for the raid. I'm fairly confident that it is going to be the reason we have to do a raid in the first place. Whether it be because it corrupts the enemies there. Whether it be because Gaul is like, oh shit, I just wasted all my resources. We can just go get power right here. Either way, it's going to be the source of the raid, and I do agree that it'll probably be a source for power. And I just realized Luke Smith saying that he wants the raid to feel like a place. It's going to be the Traveler. He's talking about the Traveler. He wants the Traveler to feel like a place.
Interesting.
Traveler was supposed to be a destination in Destiny 1, and it got scrapped. Obviously, it's a giant machine. You can go inside there. He wants the Traveler to feel like a place and not a thing.
That'd be awesome, actually.
Boom! You're welcome. Hit me up in the DMs if you want to tell me how awesome I am. Man.
Wow.
Oh, man. Nah.
Also humble.
Also very humble. I am the most humble person. You know?
Yeah, you didn't know that, Jay-Z?
Yeah, man.
No, I haven't known Scarrow for 2 years or anything. So,
no.
Yeah.
We just met.
Oh, man. Whew. Okay. How we doing? We gonna call it here? That looks good.
Yeah, we're pretty close to time.
Okay, man. Well, I've been Scarrow9. You can find me at Scarrow9 on Twitter, Scarrow9 on YouTube. Thank you guys so much. We had a huge audience. We averaged around 30 people today. Consecutively, or not consecutively, concurrently. Thank you. Thank you myself for thinking of that word. And
good job.
I thanked one of you for giving me the word, but I gave myself the word, so I don't know why I said that. But yeah, a huge interaction today. This was a fun one. Hopefully I didn't rant too much. Hopefully you guys agree with me. If you're watching this on Monday or even later than that, drop your opinions down below. Let's have a conversation. Jay-Z and Icona, do your things.
All right, you can find me at XX Iconoclast. You can find me on Xbox Live and on Twitter.
Jay-Z Basketball 25 on Twitter and on Xbox.
Boom. And Zessie said the tower's a place too, and so is a giant space turtle. So one, towers destroyed in Destiny 1, so it won't be a place. And two, giant space turtle doesn't hatch until DLC 3.
So for the record, I went through a whole podcast just now, and I never mentioned the carrot on the stick. But we have now gone 3 podcasts in a row mentioning this damn giant space turtle. Is that the new carrot on the stick?
I'm just saying, this would have been a prime episode for carrot on the stick, too, because that's all we talked about was incentives for grinding.
This is the one show.
You had one job, Icano, and you were just like, nah, man, we don't need carrots.
Funny.
Oh man, that's it. Once we hit that,
especially when we're talking about rolls, carrot on the stick, right there. Boom, you had your shot.
I blew it.
For like, I'm gonna say like 20,000 subs or something, 25. We're gonna do a carrot on the stick shirt, or maybe once we get our first sponsor, that would be cool for the podcast.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, man, that's gonna be the first one. That would be awesome. But man, Scarrow would thank himself. Yeah, man, that's the type of person I am when I'm doing a podcast. Oh, goodness. All right, guys. So, I think that's going to be the end. Next week, we're probably going to do a Destiny 2 being too casual. So, bring your discussion caps, and let's have a conversation. And that'll be another really good episode for Carrot on the Stick. So, make sure you keep that idea fresh in your mind, Icano.
I'm right there, man. I'm writing notes as we speak.
All right, man. All right. So, thank you guys for watching today. Episode 23. Pretty awesome. 2 weeks until the beta, which is awesome. You guys have a fantastic night. Thank you for coming out and joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, guys.